You're
Yeah,
right.
really.
Probably doctors in in China or wherever they're from.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that they are because they just they treat in a whole different kind of way. All right. Now we're live on YouTube and let me mute that. There we go. Come on, maybe. There we go. All right. We are live on YouTube and turning the mic over to you for Thankful Thursday. Dove, Lori, Deb, Regis, Sharon, if you're here. Good to see you all. Happy Thankful Thursday. The mic is all yours.
Thanks, Lynn. So good morning. There's Sharon. Okay, so I already said hi to Dove and to Regis and hi to Deb and hi to Sharon. And before I forget, I won't be here next Thursday. I'll actually be in Philadelphia and I am going to see Karen and Zulma on Monday, which is
Awesome.
awesome. And Sharon, I'm driving out with my sisters. So that's why I didn't contact you to stop by your place on my way
How
out.
many sisters do you have? They can
I
stay
have
here if you want.
I have three sisters. So and good morning, Mickey. I live with one of my sisters. Another one is here, and then we're going to see another one in Philadelphia. So that's so, and I don't have a private place where I can talk next week, so I won't be here next week. Okay, we are on lesson 261. God is my refuge and security. And when I opened this morning, I thought, wow, I don't remember this lesson ever. And I did the lessons for about 10 years regularly, and I haven't done them regularly for many, many years, but I don't even remember this lesson. So here we go. Ken says, this lesson continues the preceding discussion of what is the body. In concluding that discussion, Jesus said we will identify with what we think will make us safe. The point in this lesson is that our true safety rests in God and in nothing else. In everyday terms, this means our safety is found in the right mind, wherein resides the memory of God through the Holy Spirit. Paragraph 1. I will identify with what I think is refuge and security. I will behold myself where I perceive my strength, and think I live within the citadel where I am safe and cannot be attacked. Ken says, the ego tells us we are safe in its thought system of separation and individuality. And as an added measure of protection, it makes the world and body, which become our citadels of safety. Thus, our preoccupation with protecting the body, for we think we live within its vulnerability and therefore have to make it stronger. However, our only safety, again, lies in our right minded choice for truth over illusion. And this is something I am very grateful for, that my concern with the body has lessened dramatically as I've been turning all kinds of decisions over to Jesus, where he says, you can turn the mundane aspects of life over to me so that you don't have to deal with what's not important. And the body is not important. And I used to have a tremendous preoccupation with the health of the body, which I won't deny. I still am concerned with the health of the body. And even as I say that word concern, it shows that, oh, I think my safety lies in being healthy. But it's nothing like it was before. And I am very grateful for that. And I ask for guidance, and it's just our own Holy Spirit. I really believe that you could drink poison and not be affected if you didn't believe that you would be affected by it. And so I love the story with Ram Dass's teachers, where he took his suitcase full of LSD and took it to India with him. So much for what he thought would make him safe, some acid trips. So, and then his guru, of course, knew that he had it in there, and the guru opened it up and took the whole amount. He took the whole amount of LSD at one time. just to show Ram Dass that it was nothing. And then also to tease him that he didn't need that. He's got God. He doesn't need acid. So anyway, I have loosened up quite a bit on food and supplements and exercise. I still participate in all of those things, but not with the fear and concern that I used to have. And that is great because as I noticed the aging body, I just was getting more and more and more afraid and more obsessed and consumed by trying to keep it healthy. And like, that's a waste of time. But the body will be a healthy, serviceable instrument for every useful purpose. And it's very interesting to me how the Course deals with the body compared to how other thought systems or spiritual paths deal with the body. I was reading something the other day about healing trauma, and it was all about coming back into the body and feeling safe in the body and allowing the body to shake off trauma. It was by Peter Levine called Healing Trauma. And he also wrote this book called Waking the Tiger. And the point is that animals in the wild, when they're traumatized, they don't have our thinking brains. So they don't make up a story about the trauma and they don't get PTSD because they're not going round and round and round in their heads about what happened to them and how they're not safe anymore. But what animals in the wild will do once they're traumatized is they'll shake. They shake and shake and shake and shake and they shake it off. Like that song, Shake It Off, Shake It Off. And so what his whole program of healing the body is getting yourself back into feeling safe in your skin, safe in the body, which I think is important and useful here. Because and good morning, Neil. I've never met you before. I'm Lorri. Nice to meet you. um, anyway, so getting back into the shaking off the trauma, in psychotherapy, it's mostly mind, but I have found that bringing the body into it and noticing the body sensations and everything with any type of technique vastly improves the outcomes. So, but as I was reading that, and it was all about the body, I was thinking of lesson 136, Sickness is a Defense Against the Truth. And toward the end of that session, that lesson, he talks about meditating on, I will accept the truth of what I am and let my mind be wholly healed today. I mistook myself for a body, but I am not a body. I am mind, and mind cannot attack. So anyway, he says with that if you have practiced successfully or properly, you won't feel the body at all. And that's what I have noticed in my most peaceful states. I was reading something about what this guy was talking about a felt sense of peacefulness and expansiveness and love and beauty. And you don't feel the body during those times. It's actually almost like the body is amorphous or ephemeral or diaphanous, or it's almost like you're just mind floating in space, or at least that's my experience. So I don't know how other people experience the body, but I've always had a conflict with the body my whole life. I just, bodies have been difficult for me. This body has been difficult for me. And I don't know if that's an astrological thing. It's kind of weird because I don't totally believe in astrology either, but little bits seem to make sense. But astrologically, I'm 3 air signs. So I've always been in my head and had a lot of trouble coming into the body. And so I don't know what other people who are like Taurus or have earth signs, Virgo, Taurus, if they are just much more comfortable with the body. Because for me, the body's been always been a pain in the butt. In lots of ways, it's like, oh man, I just want to be free of this body. And so I appreciate how the Course says we are mind, and purely mind, and that the teacher of God not only knows he's not a body, he knows he's not in a body. So anyway, with this lesson 261, God is my refuge and security, that's where I have always found the only refuge is when I go into meditation or go into silence and feel the presence of God, because we're not safe in these bodies. These bodies are going to die. They're, the body, the Course says very much is that minds don't attack, but we've made up bodies so that we can believe in attack and conflict. So anyway, that's a long way around, and I'm going to turn this mic over to Sharon.
That was beautiful, Lorri. That was just a flow of just clarity. It was a flow of clarity. So I wanted to say hello to Lynn and to Deb and Regis. I don't know why my phone is. I don't know what to do. Wait. What's going on here? I felt like I was in a spaceship just now, guys. It was my phone. I have no idea how that happened. Anyway, look, we're all in heaven. That's just the point. We're in heaven and we're dreaming about separation. And the body is, of course, this section. And, Ken has said, what is the body? Well, he says a lot of things. What is the world? The Course separates everything into a place where we can focus on the fact that we are not these bodies. And let's see what Ken has to say. The ego does not know what love is, which is why Jesus continually tells us he cannot really speak to us of God, heaven, or truth. Yet the ego does not know if the Son of God chooses love, individuality will disappear. Yet the ego does not know if the Son of God chooses love, individuality will disappear. This is the ego's fear. And it really is. The other night, Rafi was sharing, pretty much that the ego's fighting back. And it does that. It can be louder than ever. And, with all of the gifts of God that we have from A Course in Miracles, we have a place to just sit in presence. Because that's all that's really here. There are no bodies, but there seemingly is a body. So one of the things that I had complained about for years was fibromyalgia, chronic fatigue. So in 2021, I did breath work, and I still do breath work. But breath work consistently, as I was doing it, I had a split where the awareness, the life energy came right into my experience. So that didn't take away from the egoic judgments or any of that. And also the idea that I think that this world could be real. Because if it could be real, it would be a very scary world right now, all over the world, really, all over the world. But to see everybody as the Christ is our job, because that's what we are. We are the higher self. We are not these people that are living in hell, because that's what it is. So fibromyalgia was part of it because the body holds our trauma. The body is where it keeps the score. It is where we hide all of our stuff from the time we come in. And the story just unfolds, and if you ever knew separation here in the US now, there's just a divide that's critical here. And at the same time, this divide is because people are ignorant to the truth. And to be ignorant to the truth is to deny that you are the Son of God, to deny that you are whole, complete awareness. In fact, even when I think that I am, the witness, I bring myself back and realize even the witness is a concept. It's all just awareness. The whole universe is one big concept. We're concepts floating around. And it was an idea, floating around, and all our ideas and all the stuff that we felt were horrific come up as emotions, and it's energy in motion. So this energy that comes up is really a gift. If we look at it as, oh, that was anger, let me see, maybe I'll love it. And that's what we want. We want to love our experience. And what does love mean? It means inclusive. We're inclusive into God because we are one. We are one being dreaming. And the dream is about an attack on God. That's why it looks the way it does. And it doesn't look real nice now. But at the same time, years ago, I read this book, Living Reality by Sailor Bob, and it's one of the best books I've ever read. And it's all about the fact this is energy it's vibrational energy that's coming in and out. And it's one way of looking at it. But the Course in Miracles is probably the most incredible text you can open. But it like I had shared on Tuesday, it used to intimidate me. Well, it didn't intimidate me. It intimidated the ego because I've always been the light. And that's what I saw in 21 and see every day. But doesn't mean that I still don't have egoic beliefs and egoic desires. And desire is the problem. There's only one desire, and that is the purpose. Purpose is that you want to awaken. But, Dove sent out a great video on enlightenment, and I couldn't agree with the guy more about enlightenment is for the ego. In fact, even the path we go on is for the ego. In the beginning, we don't feel good when we get on this path. We're like done. We're like, oh my God, I can't believe this is where I am. What planet am I on? And that's when the work starts, when you really say, I surrender. I cannot have any peace in this world. I know that I used to get hit a lot in my 40s, and all of that was a kiss from God. It was a kiss like, hey, listen, girl, you are going to really find that everything you've gone through has worked for you, has brought you to the presence, right? The story is irrelevant, but not still to this mind. I still have enough ego that the ego gets in there, and it's all about me believing it. It's all about me watching it. So when I do play witness, it helps to watch everything, but also to realize the witness is still part of the illusion. And I think until you're not here anymore, which I have no doubt we will leave, and maybe this body will leave in death. I used to hear Regina talk about the fact that Michael Langford had gone so far that there was no him, that he didn't see anything. And I didn't read the book because I didn't want to aggravate my ego. Lynn read it, and I don't know how true any of that is either, but that's not my aspiration. My aspiration is to be aspiration, inspiration, and just my love of God, my love of love. Because love is completely inclusive. There is nothing there. Now, Spirit came in the other day saying, well, the body isn't where your brother is. So if you hate someone out there, you're not hurting an individual. You're hurting yourself. That's all. You're hurting yourself because there's no individual. You're hurting yourself in believing that you are these bodies, So he says, the ego is just a belief, period. It doesn't have as much juice as I thought, And if we cannot change our minds, we can never choose God's love over the ego's hate, because the ego is hateful. That's what created this story that's playing out. It's not people, it's ego. We are either with the ego or we are with the Holy Spirit. And we are very fortunate to have fallen into this gold. I call it gold. This is about getting the lottery, being free and realizing that if there's a war in this country, it's not going to affect us. And this is what our job is now, to look through. Now, I'm not saying that the ego mind won't get scared, because it's always scared. And if you still have ego, so what? Ego's not a bad thing. It's just that if you believe in it, it hurts you. It doesn't hurt anyone but you. The personal mind hurts itself. The personal mind talks to itself. So it's the place where, like, if I don't like a brother, I'm not saying I don't like the Son of God, because the Son of God isn't there. It's still in heaven. It's all heaven. This is an ephemeral dream it's like, it can just go like smoke. Okay, it can go with smoke, just putting it out like smoke and mirrors, and just put the water on it, just like the Wizard of Oz, because that's the wickedness that we believe that we are. Because if I see how much I don't like, and I'm going to say this, my ego doesn't like what's going on right now. You know, Jimmy Kimmel was one of my very favorite comedians. But if I look at Jimmy and say, well, Jimmy, wait a minute, you're me, and I want the peace of God, and I want you to have it. And if I want you to have it, I have to be that, because I am projecting the whole dream. It's 100% responsibility. That's what Ho'oponopono says. And saying it and clearing every day, or doing the release technique that Rafi does. These are all tools. But Jesus is guiding us home, but we've never left home. You know, and so in the separation, you know, these characters that are fighting each other are hurting themselves, okay? Because they're believing that they are different and better and have more money or not have more money. And it's all story, right? So, you know, I felt bad about Charlie Kirk, but I didn't know anything about him. I never even read what he did. I felt bad that a young man would die, but I also knew that it's part of the game. I mean, he was spewing out hatred, and you know, the universe doesn't always respond to hatred that well. I don't know though, because it lets a lot of people hate, but that's in their script. And if it's letting other people hate, it's hurting them, nobody else. If I think that Dove or Lorri or Lynn, anybody out there, I am hurting this mind, because we are all mind. And that is what the Course gives us. It gives us clear teaching. It gives us a place to go. And if you forget, which you can, I do, I forget through the day. And if you forget, and I do have, like, you know, my ego doesn't like, you know, what's going on in this administration. It doesn't. But that doesn't mean that it's not serving us, because we can't know. We can't know what is serving us, because we are just an instrument, a vessel that the higher self is living through. And it's a symphony right now of hate, but we can bring love, but wholeness, and all of the beautiful things, like the body is the ego's home by its election. It's only identification with which the ego feels safe. Of course it does. It wants us to stay there. Now, you know, when they say bring it back to the body, I'm going to say something that I had picked up the other day. Love your body because it's alive. You see, a tree is alive. Everything here is alive. And that's what I did get in 21, and I continue to get aliveness. Like this awareness is alive, saying, listen, you are not this person. Give it up. She's small. You're playing small. You're big. You're limitless. You're all love. So with that, I'm going to just turn this over to Dove, and thanking everybody for being here.
Okay, everyone. Thank you so much for that. Sharon, I heard you use the word enlightenment and ego, I think, in the same sentence. Maybe I'm wrong, but I think it reminded me of something I heard yesterday. Regis is part of that group. I think Regis was there. Regis is not here now, though. He was just here 5 minutes ago. I attend this Wednesday morning group with
Cindy.
With Cindy. Thank you, Cindy Krupp. And she played a thing from YouTube, and I could just play the beginning of it. I think you'll find it interesting. Here, let me see if I can play it from here. Hold on 1 second. Okay, here goes.
Is that it is this.
Wait.
The biggest lie that we're told about enlightenment is that it is this deeply inaccessible or very hard to access kind of state that it takes lifetimes to figure out. The biggest thing that I can share to anyone who is on this path is that the idea of enlightenment is literally ego bait, so that people in ignorance have an actual reason to go towards the truth. It's like a wisdom trick. It's a wise trick, because think about if you just talked about enlightenment to like anyone who's not interested, not even enlightenment, but just most people need a very big reason to search for something other than an object, like a massive reason. Think about how many times you in your life didn't want to seek enlightenment. You didn't care about happiness. You just wanted to find things in experience. That's probably still even happening now, even though you are on that path. You're still looking subtly for tiny objects or subtle things or subtle experiences or subtle relationships to fulfill yourself with. It doesn't end just instantly. So imagine someone who has never been acclimatized to any other thing other than just happiness comes from objects. And
Okay, I think we heard that. He goes on for, this is a 12-minute thing, and I'll put the link up for all of us. First of all, I gotta get back to the room. Okay, here is the link to what you just heard. Okay, that's the link, and if you want his name, I'll get it for you. I actually, Lynn, I posted this whole link on Pal Talk yesterday, and said it was a very interesting thing. What caught my ear is this is ego bait. It's so true, and it goes so perfectly with our Sunday homily at Awakening Together. Because what is the homily on? That even the course is ego bait. If you look at the course is saying, okay, if you do this, then at the end of 365 lessons, and maybe many years of doing it over and over and over, you will save yourself thousands of years. Wow, that's pure ego bait, baby. Anyway, yeah, his name is Saja Fendel. Thank you, Mickey. Thank you. Mickey, how did you know that?
I went to the link that you posted and I looked at whose name it was.
Great. Okay, wonderful.
And then I copied and pasted it and I didn't realize it was going to be a link. I thought it was just going to be a name, but there you go.
So basically what our Sunday homily is about, and all are invited Sunday to Regina Dornake. It starts at 10 or 10:15. Lynn comes on as the reader. She can be reading from Review 6, which starts right after lesson 200 and just before 201. And some of you may know that story of mine, that basically for years and years and years, I kept reading any one of these 20 lessons is the entire course. And wow, that's nice. You mean lesson 181, or one of my favorites, like one, by the way, 181 is Lynn's favorite. I trust my brothers who are one with me. If you really get into it, and I think we're going to be getting into it on Sunday. Of course, I trust my brothers. I'm trusting in my one self. What else did I trust? But anyway, for years and years and years, I thought he was talking about, well, go back to lesson 181 and any one of these 20 lessons. And just before I was going to share on John Monday, this past Sunday, Monday and Sunday, Sunday and Monday, Holy Spirit gave me a download and said, go read paragraph 1 again. And I did. And he came to me after 20 years. He's not talking about going back and reading 10, 12 paragraphs in a lesson. He's saying these next 2 sentences I give you in italics is the whole course. And we're all familiar where he said that at the very, very beginning. At the very beginning in the introduction, remember he says, I can sum up this entire course for you in these few lines. Gives you 2 sentences. Nothing, I think it's, nothing real.
Tessie love.
Oh God. Nothing real can be broken. Nothing unreal exists. Herein lies the peace of God. So with that one thing which we've read every single year that we do this thing, if you're doing it correctly, it's nothing. I even have a coffee cup that says the same thing. Nothing real can be threatened. I mean, that's the whole course. But you mean the blue book I have with 1,300 pages? That's not the course? No, that's not the course. But how could the whole course be in 2 lines? Because it's not about words. Words are twice removed. Then what is it about? It's about certainty, innocence, and also recognizing that you're not this body. Remember the last 20, the 20 lessons he's talking about from 201 to 220. How do they start out? I'm not a body. I am free. I am still as God created me. So if I'm not a body, then Dove is not the listener anymore. The ego is not the one who's saying, oh yeah, it's another year of 365 lessons. Go do your thing. Lesson number 1, nothing I see here means anything. Really? Well, just in case you don't believe that, go on to lesson 2. If it means something, I'm the one. So enlightenment is bait, ego bait, because it says, hey, I want you to busy out your mind totally. I want you to spend all day and all night reading these lessons and reading the text too, and make sure you read the teacher's manual. Make sure you read the prayer, the song of prayer, and the psychotherapy pamphlet. They're all important. I mean, can't you see that that's your way out of here? That's the way out of hell? Yeah, I've been doing that for 50 years. For 50 years? You gotta laugh. I'm complete.
Thanks, Dove. Okay, so yeah, we've known for a long time that chasing enlightenment is not the way to go. That is ego. But I'm not so sure I agree that it's just not something, or that like the teachers in that video, I followed your link, that they're selling enlightenment or anything. I don't think they're doing that. Muji and Eckhart Tolle, and I do think that they've experienced the truth and the totality of God in a way that the ego never can. And so, yes, like Lynn, you wrote on the board, remembering God is all I want. And I think you said something earlier too. I am not seeking enlightenment. I want to remember God. And what is remembering God? It's what we are. I am as God created me, as Dove was saying on those 20 lessons. If any one of those 20 lessons is the whole course, well, that one line, I am not a body, I am free, I am still as God created me. That's the whole course. And so we can have that in this holy instant. So that's, yes, as far as seeking enlightenment in the future, or seeking it as a future state, or a state different than what we already are. I think the good teachers, and I don't really pay attention to any of those teachers, so I really don't know exactly what they teach, but any good teacher is going to say, you're it right now. When you go into the silence, when you go into knowing that what you made up, your body, your personality, this world, you're there right now. And so what I noticed when I first got with the course was lesson 188, the peace of God is shining in me now. Enlightenment is but a recognition, not a change at all. That line saved my life, because I had come from basic metaphysical teachings, and I had gone to workshop with Ram Dass, and the workshop was like the day before he had his stroke that totally debilitated him. It was right around that time. And Ram Dass told this story, and I have told this story on this platform before, but I'll tell it again because it left me completely hopeless. And this may be what we're talking about here, that selling enlightenment as this far off thing that you have to meditate for a zillion years is what's being taught, and it's not true. But anyway, before I tell the story, that line, enlightenment is but a recognition, not a change at all, sold me on the course because I always thought back then, I'll never get there, never get there. So that is an ego sales job of something unattainable that you have to work really hard for. But after I got into the course, I started noticing that there were a lot of teachings that taught that you are there right now. You're the holy instant, who you really are, in the silence, in the emptiness, that is there right now. It's always available. I saw it in Buddhism, and I just saw it in all different kinds of places, but I had never seen it before. So, anyway, the story that Ram Dass talked about, he talked about the wheel of life and death, birth and rebirth, and the wheel of suffering that aspect of Buddhism teaches. But even, like I said, I saw the teaching of enlightenment is now in Buddhism later on. So it just depends on what part you read. But the story was that enlightenment is like this. So you have a mountain, and you have this little bird flying over the top of the mountain with a hanky in his beak. And as he flies over, the hanky brushes the top of the mountain. And then he circles back around and he flies over, and the hanky brushes the top of the mountain again. And then he flies back over and the hanky brushes the top of the mountain again. And as long as it takes for that bird's hanky to erode that mountain is as long as the wheel of birth and rebirth will go on. And I remember just going, oh my gosh, oh no. I'll never get there. I might as well just shoot myself right now, because I was looking for a way out, right? And the way out is I am as God created me right here in this holy instant. But I felt very defeated from that story. And so when I found the course, it's like, wow, thank you, God. And that line combined with my favorite section in the course, chapter 18, section 7, I need do nothing. Lynn, that's the story the nuns told us we would burn in hell. Did they tell you that same story about the bird and the hanky, or just that you would
Yes,
burn
the
in
bird
hell?
and the hanky, and the bird and the hanky, and as he dropped the grain of sand, it built another mountain, and then at the end he started with the next mountain. This is how long you will burn in hell if you do or don't do.
Oh my gosh. Oh, wow. I never knew that. I mean, I've never heard that about the nuns. I mean, I've heard a lot of stories nuns have told, but not that one. Wow. Thanks for sharing that, Lynn.
It's just interesting to me that the nun knew that story.
Yeah.
That somehow that story got into the Catholic catechism.
Yeah.
Anyway,
Unless it was that particular nun or those particular nuns. But in any case, well, it is kind of true in the sense of hell is birth and reincarnation, right? Birth
yeah,
and
we're burning in hell now.
yeah, we are. Hell is, and one thing that actually helped me, my mom, when we were little, she never went to church, and she smoked. And so I thought really for sure she was going to go to hell. And I used to say that, yeah, Bob, you're right. It's instilling fear. I used to say, Mom, you need to go to church. Mom, you need to accept Jesus as your savior. And she would just growl and say, hell is right here on earth. And well, actually, I'm glad she said that because she was right. And that stuck with me. Later on, it's interesting because she became a born again Christian later on. And that was a change from when we were growing up. So yeah, Bob, it is funny. But I love, Dove, what you said about the Course in Miracles is about certainty and innocence. And something I've been getting in my meditation is talking about consistency and certainty and letting go of doubt and that innocence. And it's like, thank you for validating that. And it is about peace. The Course says, something is not our goal. Enlightenment or revelation is not our goal. Peace is. So the Course explicitly says, we're not trying to get you enlightened. We're trying to get you to feel peaceful now, which I guess, I don't know, is the same as enlightenment. And Neil, you're writing on the board exactly. So I wanted to speak to a few things that Sharon said. We were talking about the body and dealing with the body, and you had said that breath work really helped you. And that is, I think, the key to working with the body is to breathe in to those places that are tight or tense or whatever. And if you look at the word breath, respiration, inspiration, inspire, in spirit. So the breath is spirit. The breath is life. If we stop breathing, we die. So it's not so much about the body as it is about breathing into the body and becoming aware of the life of God, which interpenetrates everything in the whole world. So we're told in the Course that form is not real. If you breathe into the spaciousness of the breath, the space of the world, or you just go into that sense of the space, you do get a sense of God. You just do. So breath work, and that's why meditation is often about the breath, is it is God. You know, the Bible says, I'm closer than your breath. And it is there. It's in there. So that's what I've gotten from breathing, is a greater sense of spaciousness rather than form. And then the other thing you said, Sharon, was that A Course in Miracles is the most brilliant text. And I agree. It's, to me, the most comprehensive, brilliant thing I have ever read. And I love that it meets us wherever we're at. If we think we're bodies, it meets us there. If we know that we're spirit, it meets us there. If you understand pure non-duality, it meets us there. So it covers all of the bases. So I just am Thankful Thursday. I love Thankful Thursday. I'm so thankful and grateful for all of you mighty companions and for the Course. And I'm going to turn this back over to Sharon.
Okay, thank you, Lorri. The peace of God is shining in me now. The light of awareness is what we are, right? I love everything you shared, Lorri, everything you shared. And why I said the Course in Miracles is a brilliant text is I had spoken, I think, well, either it was last week or Tuesday, that the Course was hard. It's a hard text. Now, the whole process is simple. Like, I'm in a place where it's all simple. But when I opened it up, it's intimidating to an ego, very much so. It has so much there and it's repeating, but it's doing that because the genius of the Course is lifting us above the battlefield. So we kind of need that. We need to be lifted into the higher self where we have always been. And, you know, we did have identity theft in a way. We went through a dream. And I still, you know, I'm sure most of us still think we are the body, but at times I don't. And more I realize that the body is a fence. It's just something that blocks the brother from, and separation, sin is the problem. Sin, you know, of course, I didn't grow up like Lynn and Lorri with Christianity. I would have probably, knowing Sharon, the character I played, would have been scared to death. Now, my parents would say things like, you know, when they got mad, you know, go to hell, things like that. But that's what people do because, you know, we all know the knower has always been here. The knower is what we are. And so we all know deep down, even these people that are fighting against each other, just saying that they're not allowed to do this and you're not allowed to do this. And the energy is recycling, but at the same time, what I see anytime, and I'm going to admit this, I want it my way, right? The song My Way was my father's favorite song, you know, because he really did believe. And he was my dad and mom were dramatic people. Obviously, that's where I came from. But they scared me in the way they would fight, but they were also very good people. And, you know, my way, my father would sing it. And I always thought, my way. And what does that mean? Well, you find out on the path that you don't make any decisions at all. The only decision or choice you can make is to either talk to the right mind or the wrong mind. And Ken Wapnick, and this is why he's a super teacher. I was listening early this morning, I guess it was around 6 o'clock. He was saying, tell the truth. You don't want the ego. You want to be separate. And he gives you all the reasons. That's when you're doing the work. When you admit, you know what? And now I know I'm not separate, but at the same time, if I make an error again, so what? I could never be a character in a dream that's already over. So, you know, to say I don't like so and so, and I don't like this and I don't like that, you're only talking about yourself. There's nobody out there. So it's kind of like, you know, at this point, you know, and the curriculum for all of us now is to use the whole situation as a classroom, just to realize that you can't come up against the ego because it's a machine. And we are organic beings. So the organic being that we are, this computer that we're listening to, is basically giving us a misidentity. And it believes that by telling us that that one's doing something wrong and this one's doing something wrong, it's absolutely saying then that I'm wrong. And that's what we all believe. I mean, you know, you were talking about meditation. You know, Michael Langford used to say he meditated 12 hours a day. Well, that's great. But that doesn't mean that you get to a place any sooner than people who have naturally woken up. And I was intimidated by that. That was said a lot in Awakening Together, and it wasn't wrong. It's just that who was hearing it? Well, as the Son of God, I was like, wait a minute, what does the Course say here? Awakening, you know, this is a recognition. And I think Jesus makes that clear in A Course in Miracles because he knows that not every being is going to so-called awaken, but there's no enlightenment because there's no people. So, and it's probably, and it is the most extreme part. But when you have pain in the body, it's a good reminder you're not the body. Like, in other words, when the ego brings something up, you just say to yourself, Sharon, and I'm talking to Sharon because I can only talk to Sharon, you know, Sharon, you're in a different identity. The identity doesn't serve you. You were playing small. You are everything, everywhere, all the time. This was over the moment it was thought. And every time, and I do this, go into the story, I am reliving the Big Bang. That's all I'm doing. You know, growing up, I had guilt over God. And I said that the other day, like, you know, when I was like 11 or 12, maybe I was a little older, people in my group, in my neighborhood started to steal from 5 and 10s. And I did that and I felt terribly guilty. So I returned it to God in the sewer. That's what the ego did with me. Just put it down the sewer, you know? And I thought, well, that'll take, so I won't have the guilt. This guilt is the whole course. I mean, guilt is the only thing that stops us from owning who we are. And that guilt is not ours. It's the ego's. So, you know, the body does exactly what the mind wants it to. Its impermanence proves the mind's defenses work, and ego strategy has succeeded. We are mindless bodies which established that the separation from God is a fact. Thus, God cannot exist because perfect homos cannot contain thoughts of separation. For if his oneness still remained untouched, who could attack and who could be attacked? Who could be victor? Who could be prey? Who could be victim? Who the murderer? And we're murdering ourselves. It's a suicide of yourself every time that I feel. And I also feel like you need to give yourself a lot of room too with this, because this is a very radical teaching. And I think at this point, just being in this, like Sharon did not make a decision to do A Course in Miracles. It was said to me from the higher self way back when I was like in my 30s, just kept buying books. Love is letting go of fear. Marianne Williamson's books, I knew inside that love was the only thing that mattered. And I had been a pretty much a loving ego, but boy, when I raged, I was as hateful as anybody ever was. And that's the hardest thing to look at as you are learning the course, that your hate, Robert is in the room right now, and he wrote a book, and it was so fabulous to read, because what he does, he takes you on his undoing of, the president, because he had issues like I did. And at this point, it's really important to look at what I'm believing about the so-called president, because there's no president, there's nobody, because he's doing his job. Marianne Williamson is playing her part because she still wants to bring love to the illusion. And you can bring love, but on the higher self, I think it used to kind of frustrate Ken, because he knew that she was brilliant, but she wasn't trying. And I don't know that Ken knew this. I can't put him on a complete pedestal because, again, he still had a human mind, but he would say, you see what the text says, but it's not her part to play. Her part was to bring people to this amazing text. She was my first teacher. I still love her. And yes, I do love her politics. Of course I do. But she's still trying to do something that can't happen. You have to bring the darkness to, it's not about like trying to make a world that was built on an attack into love, because it can't be. The real world is that there's nothing here, right? So, but I still, think, and it does trip me up sometimes, because I think she was my first teacher when I started the path, just when I got into the steps. I was very, very clear. I had no idea what God was, because we did not have Jesus. And the Jewish people have like more of a, it's a beautiful religion, Judaism. It's absolutely beautiful. But it's all about the fact that we're chosen, which is ridiculous. And, I had a talk with my sister this morning. I have 3 sisters. My 2 younger ones were more religious than I was, because my mother used to sing a song, the Hebrew School Dropouts, because I dropped out in 1st grade because my sister did. But I loved Sunday school. I loved Hebrew. I think that the longing for God is in every human, including the president, okay? Because the real power isn't what's going on here. The real power is to own that we are the infinite being, right? We experience happiness when our special love objects work well for us. That's really what it is. If I don't get my special love, recently I'm watching how my relationship with Cliff is evolving deeper because of the appreciation that I have for a man that actually exhibits a lot of this without reading a text. Yeah, he gets upset what's going on in the world, but he doesn't really want to talk about it. He wants to stay in peace. So often I see him go outside and just be in the silence. And I think that's just an innate trait in him. But the appreciation I have for this man is the kindness. Like yesterday, I came home from school and I needed, my art room was a mess. And he went down there and he organized it in such a way that I can't even tell you. That's what I think is really beautiful about having a partner that works with you, that cares for you. And it's almost like the story of Sharon evolved from someone who appeared, and I say appeared because he wasn't there, my ex-husband, to try to destroy the mother of his children, right? And in so many ways, that was his passion. And so, but he was a gift because he was my savior. He brought me to a place where forgiveness became natural. There's still enough in there that sometimes the ego will say, bah, 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 bah. But at the same time, we are in the silence. We can come back to the silence and we can forgive ourselves. And that's what Ken teaches. He says, listen, be honest. You don't want it. And that was true for me. I played a perfect part for this, the struggle you have in this process, because I still wanted this illusion to be real in some way. And that's never going to happen. It's just a play of ideas. That's all it is. It's just swinging in and out, and to take it as real. But look, I'm here. Who is here? A voice. You know, often I've heard, well, not often, but I've heard Regina say, there's nothing here but sound. Like, in other words, there's just a voice, you know. And the truth is, if everybody's living on autopilot as they are, then how can we have a war when it's all God, even in the dream? Because it's a war against me, and I don't want that. Fear is the one emotion of the world. Its forms are many, but it is one in content, never far, even in form. From what its purpose is, never with the power to escape its cause, and never but a counterfeit of joy. It rests uncertainly upon a bed of lies. Here it was born and sheltered by its seeming comfort. Here it will remain where it was born and where it end will come. If you were certain, fear would be laid aside as easily as joy, and peace unite on love's behalf. This is from the Gifts of God. But first, there must be certainty, and that's exactly what Dove spoke about. You know, the one thing is that Dove Fishman knows this book inside out, where everything is, and that's a gift to be in a group that someone knows that much. Because in the beginning, you know, I didn't read as much. I just was shocked that this wasn't real. And another part of me knew he was right, even when I first started this book. Because how could one person or all of us that know that it's not reality and not the whole sonship? We do. It just hasn't come to the awareness of everyone. That's all. So if you were certain, fear would be laid aside as easily as joy and peace unite on love's behalf. But first, there must be certainty that there can be no love where fear exists, and that the world will never give a gift which is not made of fear, concealed perhaps, but which is surely present somewhere in the gift. Accept it not, and you will understand a gift far greater has been given you. The gifts of God is just, it's just putting us right where we belong, where we never left. I mean, this is a brilliant text. Anyway, Dove, I want you to close, but I just want to thank everybody for joining us today. Everybody did a beautiful, beautiful teaching, and I'm so glad to be a part of it. Oh, and I don't know if I said hello to Mickey because I can't see everything on my website, so I just want to tell her how grateful I am that she's here and everyone else is here. Thank you. Over to you, Doug.
Oh my goodness, Sharon. I love your spiel, by the way. Of course, you left me 1 minute to go, but I'm going to ask Zulma. Zulma, she was just here a second ago. I'm going to ask Zulma, can I have 5 or 10 minutes of your time? And if I can, it's okay too. Yeah, actually, about the Jewish religion, Jesus was Jewish, by the way, except he wasn't the religious part of Jewish. He was an ACIM, which is like the Kabbalah. So he understood the mystical side of Judaism, which is the part that you recognize God, you recognize God. And thank you so much, Lorri, for saying what saved you is what is it?
Enlightenment is but a recognition, not a
There it is. It's the bell that says the day has begun. Okay. Yes. So enlightenment is a recognition. It is not. What's the other word?
It's not a change at all.
It's not a change. Okay. So what does the word recognition mean? The word cog, C-O-G, it's like a knowing. It's a knowing. I wrote it in the chat for those people who want to see it. It's why am I looking in the chat? Why don't I know these things? Let's see. I can't even find it in the chat. My God. There it is. Okay. It's from lesson 188. The peace of God is shining in me now. Why wait for heaven? Those who seek the light are merely covering their eyes, which means we drop the veil the drapes, which is the body, and we can't see anything but bodies, or we can't see anything but form. So the light is always here. But the only way to get to the light is to rise above battleground, or rise above the drapes or the veil or whatever it is that's blocking your view. But the view is really not vision. The view is perception. Isn't it perception? And doesn't he tell you that basically, yeah, here it is. Yeah. Unbelievable. I can't read from the, yeah, a mistaken interpretation. You mistake interpretation for the truth, but you are wrong. Oh, that's a big word. Imagine Jesus saying you were wrong. But a mistake is not a sin. Oh, I didn't know that. A mistake is not a sin. That's what I'm bringing up. I got 2 more downloads from Spirit for Sunday. I'm going to read them to you, or maybe I'm not. So I'm doing my usual daily work, which is trying to outfox the market, and I make mistakes. You know, I lose money, and if you make mistakes, you say, "Well, I can't be the Holy Son of God," because the Holy Son of God is innocent and certain. He's the certain Son of God. How would he make mistakes? Oh, in this world, it's just certain that you're going to make mistakes that the ego will make for you for sure. The ego loves to make mistakes. It keeps you from ever remembering the truth of who you are. Because how could you remember the truth of who you are if you make mistakes? Love makes mistakes. How could he be the Son of God? And then it says, the certain can only be mistaken about what is valuable. Well, Dov, why are you doing something in the world where you're chasing money? I mean, money has no value to you whatsoever. Isn't that your birthday lesson? Lesson 133, I will not value what is valueless. What's valuable belongs to me. Lesson 133, one of the best lessons in the entire course. And of course, you're going to make mistakes running after things that begin in time and end in time, constantly changing. You try to catch it there, you miss it over there, you lose it over here. It's like going to Vegas. What do you expect? You're gambling. The Son of God is not a gambler. He's a certain, holy, innocent Son of God. He doesn't need that crap. That was download number 1. That was pretty good, I thought. Number 2 was recognizing that the sole responsibility of a Course in Miracles student is what? Does anyone know? The sole responsibility? Anybody know?
Peace. Oh, the atonement. Accept the atonement. Accept the atonement for myself.
What? I didn't hear what?
Accept the atonement for myself.
Yes, that's it. Accepting the atonement. The sole responsibility is accepting the atonement for yourself. What does this do, brother, when you accept the atonement? When you accept the atonement, and I have accepted the atonement, for sure, it enables you to see the ego running around protecting itself, as egos do, because the atonement undoes all other beliefs. Oh, that's the word with the L-I in the center. Yeah, all lies, because guilt is undone, because guilt is a lie. It never happened. What do you mean never? Well, what you think happened never happened. So all of that stuff, that fuzzy stuff that seems to blur your vision, isn't there anymore. That's the innocence and the certainty of the Son of God. Thank you all. Thanks, Wilma.
Wow, thank you so much, Dove. And yeah, it just worked out that Zoma was having sound problems and had to leave the room for a few minutes. It gave you the chance to actually complete your thoughts about that. And who Who makes the time? It's divine timing. Always, always, always perfect. All right. I want to remind everybody that next week, Dove and Karen are going to start doing a program after Zoma. Zoma's going to be on right now. After Zoma's program next week, Dove and Karen are going to start doing, I believe, those lessons that you were just talking about, those 20 lessons from A Course in Miracles, or the review lessons of them.
Right. Yeah, thank you for mentioning that. And we're not going to read like 181, I trust my brother. I'm not going to read 12 paragraphs. We're going to look at the 2 lines in the review lesson and come from our experience. Thank you very much, Lynn.
Thank you. And also reminding everybody that Dove and I are going to be on Awakening Together this Sunday. Dove will be the minister and I will be the reader. So if you want to join us there, just come to our website, acimgather.us, and look at the schedule. You'll see it right there on the schedule for Sunday. Awakening Together, a weekly meeting, and just click on that. It will give you the link and you can go directly in. Enter the sanctuary and join us at Awakening Together. So those are my announcements. Also, if you're watching this on